Hello folks, shintigercurl here, that dude in the straw hat, bringing you yet another delicious little video. Now, if you're watching this, you probably know what it's about. Tonight was the last pay-per-view for the WWE for 2014, TLC, Tables, Ladders, and Chairs, and Stairs. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because of my last video, which was about NXT's TV special, well, pay-per-view if you want to call it, NXT R Evolution, which I call the best pay-per-view you will ever watch inside the WWE. Outside the WWE, there are a lot of other alternatives like Chikara Pro and ROH, particularly from my friends at the WrestleCast. They said that that Final Battle 2014 was a pretty damn solid show. So I said that the WWE, the main roster, got shamed by these young up-and-comers, these so-called newbies, and TLC needed to take a cue from them and be better. Well, tonight, unfortunately, they were not better. They were average at best, terrible at worst. Now, the show, of course, starts with Dolph Ziggler versus Luke Harper in a ladder match for the Intercontinental title. This was a great starting match. A lot of the guys on the CBR forums didn't care for it, but I myself liked it because it felt, well, it made the belt feel more important than it has been for the last couple of months. You had two guys basically throwing ladders and doing all kinds of shit at each other with a lot of blood. Surprisingly, a lot of blood. This was a very, very good ladder match. I'd rank it up there as one of the best ladder matches the E has ever produced, especially for an Intercontinental title match. This was a great little ladder match with Dolph Ziggler pulling out the win, becoming a 4-time Intercontinental Champion. So yeah, that was good. That was a good start. I had a lot of hopes because of this match. Unfortunately, those hopes didn't amount to much. Yeah. Moving on, our next match was, I believe, the tag team titles were on the line. The Usos faced off against the champions, Miz and his stunt double, Damien Mizdow, the retaining champs. The most over person in the match, of course, was Mizdow. Kind of sad, really, when you think about it, seeing as how this was in Miz's hometown of Cleveland, and his stunt double was more over than he was in his hometown. The match was okay until the end when Miz used his slammy to attack the Usos, giving them the DQ. Now, I would say if you want to look at a good tag team title match, look no further than the Lucha Dragons against the Vaudevillains. This was better than that. I'm saying Lucha Dragons and Vaudevillains was better than this main roster title match. I mean, I love me some Mizdow, but this match just, I just didn't care for it, especially at the end. If I'm out of order, I'm sorry. It's just night just kind of muddled for me. The next match was the first ever Stairs match between Eric Rowan and The Big Show. I had no high expectations for this match, and this match delivered. I mean, this match delivered those expectations. This was slow, it was prodding, it was boring. I mean, there were a couple of decent and okay spots, but other than that, it was just two big guys playing around with stairs. It was just slow and boring. Not my cup of tea. Next up, I'm trying to get the order right, but if I'm not, I'm sorry. Was I'm trying to remember. Seth Rollins versus John Cena in a tables match If John Cena loses this match, he will lose his #1 contendership for the World Heavyweight title currently being held by the Beast Incarnate Brock Lesnar. This was a bleh kind of match. Like, it was a by the numbers match. A lot of the shit you could actually see coming if you really look at it. I mean, we knew Cena was gonna win. There was no suspense about this, but there was a lot going on in this match. We had shenanigans from J&J Security, and at one point Cena did put Seth Rollins through a table, but there was a ref bump just before this, so I knew, oh, they're gonna arrange it so that Cena didn't, so the ref wouldn't see it. So I knew that was coming. But after that, J&J Security proceeded to beat down John Cena like a government mule. And when the ref got back up, the two of them got on the apron and they were fighting, and something told me, and something inside my head said, they're both gonna fall through the table. I wrote this on my forum post. As soon as I saw what they were doing, I was like, they're both gonna fall through the table. I could say a double fall. And just after I hit send, boom, they both go through the table. And the ref calls it. And I was like, I was right. I saw it coming. So refs come out there and they're wondering, hey, who won? They both fell through the table. Who won? So the referee decides to restart the match. And they're beating the crap out of each other. Then Big Show comes lumbering his ass out and starts beating the shit out of John Cena for whatever reason, until the return of Roman Reigns. And he was full of meter. If you don't know what meter is, look up the FGC. You'll know what it means. He comes down there, Superman punches the Big Show, and then spears him through a table. Then Seth Rollins comes out, he Superman punches him, and John Cena FUs him into a table. Attitude adjustments to a table to get his title match at the Royal Rumble. Well, like I said, it was predictable. It was by the numbers. You could predict what was going to happen if you knew well enough about the match itself. So yeah, there's that. Let's see what was next. Next up, the Divas title match, pitting Nikki Bella against AJ Lee. Now, I told my friends online at the CBR forum that there was no way on God's green earth that this match would come anywhere close to being a fraction as good as Charlotte versus Sasha Banks was on NXT Evolution. I mean, and I'm not saying that AJ is terrible. She's probably the most talented person on the main roster, with Paige just under her. The problem is, she's in there with one of the Bellas. Now, I'm not saying that the Bellas are total garbage. They have gotten better. But you can't have a match. You can't have a match with someone who's great in the ring with someone who just became okay in the ring. Sasha Banks and Charlotte was a great match because they were both fucking good. They were both great in the ring. When you have two people who are of equal levels of good and awesomeness, you're going to have a great match. This one, it was one woman who was great and one who was just okay, who was passable. And this was just it. It was a boring match. The ending made it even worse because the ref, seeing some shenanigans outside the ring with Brie, throws her out of the match, and while his back is turned, Nikki pulls out a spray of something or other and sprays it in AJ's eyes, puts her in the torture rack or whatever she wants to call it, and picks up the win. This is why Charlotte and Sasha was a better match. And here's why. Because it focused more on their talents in the ring rather than some bullshit storyline. And this just goes. This does not make Brie Bella look very strong as a champion, since she got her belt by kung fu treachery, or twin treachery, as I like to call it. And and this does not help. This does not make her look like a strong champion. In fact, this doesn't do the Divas any help, because if your champion is looking like this, he's only passable in the ring. It just doesn't. It just makes the whole main roster look like shit. And this just makes Sasha Banks versus Charlotte Flair the best Divas match of the year, because they actually wrestled a good match, a great match. Yeah. Alright, next up we have the chairs match between Ryback and Kane. Another boring match. Another boring by the numbers match. It went on far too long for my taste. I'm not even going to go through play-by-plays because it's just them hitting each other with chairs and Ryback looking gassed the fuck out because Ryback can't wrestle a long match. 5-minute squash matches are what he's best at. Any more of that and he's huffing and puffing and sweating buckets by the gallon. And this showed it that he needs to work on his cardio. Next match. No, I forgot. Ryback won, of course. That's how much I didn't care for it. Next match. Rusev, the United States champion, defends against Jack Swagger. I thought that was kind of stupid because JBL was like, finally, somebody's going to stand up for America. And I'm like, JBL, you do realize that these two fought months and months ago, right? And Rusev got the better of him in that feud. The only thing that's changed is that Zeb is no longer out there because of quote-unquote Rusev fucked up his leg. So what makes this any different? But it was a short little 5 to 6 minute match. I mean, it was a very short match. Rusev retains. It was a decent match. It just didn't belong on this card. You could have easily put this on Raw or SmackDown and it would have been okay. But here it just seems out of place. And now for the main event. The one match in the entire card that I was actually looking forward to, that I was excited for. Dean Ambrose, Bray Wyatt, TLC match. This was the best match on the card because it was fucking brutal. Well, as brutal as you can get in the PG era of the WWE right now. I'm just saying that this was a fucking good match. There was no titles on the line. There was no running away. Nothing at stake in this match. Just two crazy motherfuckers who just wanted to hurt each other. I wanted this. This is what I wanted Rollins Ambrose to be. But they decided to go with this whole chicken shit heel thing with Rollins. But this is what I wanted it to be. These two men just destroyed each other for 30 plus minutes. There were spots in this match that were just fucking brutal. Ambrose flew off 3 different ladders of 3 varying heights, putting Bray Wyatt through tables. These two destroyed each other. This was war. There was no winners in this match. They were just survivors. But the end comes when Ambrose pulls out a monitor, a flat screen TV from under the ring. What the fuck is a fully functional flat screen doing underneath the ring? I will never know. But he attempts to bash in Bray Wyatt's skull. Unfortunately, it's still connected, and each time he tried to hit him with it, it snagged on the cord until finally it just kind of exploded in his face. If that makes any sense to you. Bray, he's blinded, so Bray took the advantage and gave him Sister Abigail, pinned him 1, 2, 3. I have no problem with the way this ended. I was fine either way with Bray or Dean winning, although I would have personally preferred Dean winning because his record at pay-per-views is kind of shitty, as a solo man anyway. But this was a brutal ass match, and I would recommend you watch it. So my overall thoughts. This was a passable pay-per-view, if judged by its own merits. But when you compare it to NXT R Evolution, it looks shitty, even with the greatness that was the first and last match. This was a shitty pay-per-view when you compare it to NXT. Because NXT, they tore the house down. They shamed the whole main roster. This was the so-called developmental territory, the rookie land, the place where dudes cut their teeth to eventually move on to the main roster. And yet they put on the best show that WWE Network has ever seen. And then the very next pay-per-view that the main roster has, they tried, but they failed to try to... They weren't even anywhere close to surpassing NXT R Evolution. I just wanted them to come up to that level. And you saw them try. Ziggler and Harper tried. You saw Ambrose and Bray Wyatt try. Because you know these guys are watching NXT and they're seeing what these fuckers are doing. Everyone else on the roster, everyone else tonight, every other match just felt like a by-the-numbers pay-per-view. It looked like nobody was even trying to pull out all the stops. Even the extreme matches felt boring. So yeah, aside from the first and last match, this was a bad pay-per-view. I mean, like I said, judging by itself, it was passable. But when you compare it to our Evolution, it just looks like shit. And this should be very telling to the people who work on the main roster, the writers, the bookers, the promoters, even the talent, that if these young guys who most of the WWE audience have never even heard of can put on a magnificent 5-star show from top to bottom, then what the fuck are you doing? Seriously, what the fuck are you doing? Cena, I'm looking at you. You saying that the future goes through you, where the future last Thursday just shit on pretty much everything you did this year and everything else you're gonna do for the next couple of months. They shit on you. And how do you reply? You just do a by-the-numbers pay-per-view, a by-the-numbers matches that were either, like I said, average or just boring and shitty. So yeah, those are my thoughts on TLC and Stairs. So yeah, just if you're gonna watch any matches, watch the first, fast forward it, and watch the last match. Nothing in between those matches should warrant your attention. That's it. And I'm speaking from the heart. So yeah, hopefully we'll find out tomorrow what the fallout of this nice little event happens, and hopefully they'll learn something from NXT and try to put on a better show. As a friend of mine, Dead X-Man on CBR forums, what's up, dude? NXT reminds you why you love pro wrestling. TLC tonight reminds you why you hate sports entertainment. That's all I gotta say. So until next time, it's shintigercurl, that dude in the straw hat, telling you good night and step your game up, Raw, and